Hello and welcome everyone to the Sydney CDI YouTube channel. If this is your first time, you're not alone. We have done very little on the social media, especially on the YouTube channel. It's been more used as a live stream medium. But this year, you've noticed a few little things are different on the social media outlets on Facebook and Instagram. And this is going to be one of our new features as well, utilizing the YouTube video streaming services just to get a bit more involvement on the ground at the event and obviously before the event. As you can see, we've had a few really huge announcements that have come through on the socials over the last few days, particularly around our first guest today. But firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Nadya Marshall. You may have seen me around Wollonga Park. I have been on the event crew there for 4 years now. This will be my 4th year. I helped Tony out last year at Nationals at SIAC, and this year I've joined the Sydney CDI crew. Super excited to be there. Can't wait for the event. But enough about me. I'm in beautiful Mudgee. The weather's stunning. I am online here with Dan O'Connell. He's streaming just outside of Noosa. Dan, welcome.
Well, thank you. Lovely to be here.
Okay, so Dan is the driver behind a new initiative called the Australian Equestrian Incentive Events. He has so kindly and graciously donated the prize money for the 6-year-old futurity, which is now officially the AEIE 6-year-old futurity, one of the main features at the 2025 Sydney CDI competition this year. This event, and I just want to read a little bit, and I'm going to read it because I just want to get the wording of this absolutely perfect because Tony did a stellar job on doing this. So this futurity is the world's richest first place prize money for a 6-year-old young dressage horse, offering a substantial $6,000 for the winner with a total prize pool of $7,500. Dan, what a man. We're so grateful on behalf of all the entire dressage community for this initiative. It's absolutely incredible, groundbreaking, and especially in Australia, it's incredible to see something of this magnitude come into our gravitational forces, which is incredible, an incredible get. And thank you for supporting the Sydney CDI with that.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Okay, so off the bat, we're all wondering, can you tell us a little bit more about the Australian Equestrian Incentive Events?
So, put simply, it's an incentive program similar to what is offered by some of the breed societies. So, for example, in different areas, so you have the Quarter Horse Association in Australia will offer incentive programs based on the Quarter Horse breed. The Hanoverians within the dressage have a couple of incentives based on being a member of the Hanoverian Society or the Hanoverian breed. And so this is an incentive program similar to that, but based on being involved with the AEIE. And the purpose or the goal of the AEIE is to ultimately grow equestrian sports in Australia, particularly dressage.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so how did you come up with the concept of the 6-year-old futurity?
So I've worked in various industries, particularly stock horse and quarter horse, the warm bloods, thoroughbreds. So in those groups, particularly like in the quarter horse, they have their open futurity, as they refer to it, and it's a 3-year-old event. And so what it acts as is it's a industry stimulating event where people are breeding horses focused towards that, the trainers training horses towards that, futurity prospects is a big thing, and it creates a market for professional trainers and for enthusiasts and owners, and growing that market. And I saw that there was a void or a lacking of a similar kind of incentive within the dressage discipline. And having worked recently, spending a lot more time working with dressage horses, I thought it was something that would be valuable for the dressage industry to have.
Absolutely incredible. It's absolutely groundbreaking, as I said. And we're so grateful that something like this has come forward, to come to fruition, really. Okay, so we have put up a few posts, and on a few of the social media posts, you have stated some pretty big financial goals for this initiative. How do you see things evolving with that?
So obviously the evolution is going to be dependent upon the appetite for such an event. And that was a big part of the reasoning behind the $6,000 prize money to start with, in that I wanted to provide something that was groundbreaking and attention grabbing, and something that would be a world's richest event for the 6-year-olds. But I also have to balance up the expectations and what the dressage community are familiar with in terms of entry fees and structures of events. So just as a point of comparison for the quarter horse futurity, the Australian, so their open futurity, it's $100,000 first place, guaranteed prize money, yet their entry fee is $3,500. And that's paid in installments over the year. So something like that, like bringing something like that directly across, probably be a little bit too much to expect of the community. So I wanted to keep it, the entry fees within reason that people are perhaps more used to paying, but still have the prize money significant enough that it is something that's attention grabbing.
Yeah, wow. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's the plan.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the question on everyone's lips, why 6-year-olds?
So within the young horse classes, you obviously got your 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-old. So the 4 and 5-year-old events, largely a walk, trot, canter. They, not that they're easy, but they seem to be a little bit more straightforward than your 6-year-old. And there tends to be, that's perhaps evident in the fact that there is a significant drop off from the 5-year-old to the 6-year-old classes. And I believe part of that is from the fact that the requirements do step up quite a bit from 5 to 6-year-old, that you then have to compete in the 6-year-old. The flying changes come in, there's walk pirouettes, and it starts getting, obviously the requirements are a little more demanding. And so I wanted to focus on an event that was, obviously the 6-year-old, it appears to be or represents a coming of age of the dressage horses, that they're stepping up to these movements that are more demanding. And also to try and combat that drop off from the 5 to 6-year-old classes, that these horses, sort of fall off, not that they stop their training, but they sort of drop off the radar a little bit. And so to keep those, give an incentive to owners and trainers to continue on with that training and ensure that these horses aren't falling off the radar, or that they keep on track with the training and the training scale, and hopefully to create a cohort of 6-year-old horses coming through that have those solid foundations, and that becomes a feature of the Australian dressage industry.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry. And then on top of that is also the fact that Australia, I believe, is incredibly well positioned to be a world leader in young horses, dressage young horses, because we're so well positioned in terms of, we have the land, we have the incredible pastures, we've got experts in all sorts of fields, like particularly driven by the fact that we have such a strong thoroughbred industry. Like, we have experts in breeding, we have the vets, we have incredible feed producers, we've got the expertise in terms of trainers, breeders, owners, carers. So really, we're in a very strong position to become world leaders in terms of particularly young dressage horses.
Yeah, beautiful. And yeah, I was going to say before, you mentioned a quote on one of your posts about, actually, no, it was in Tony's article, about driving the Olympic team, and seeing that come up. And I know that's one of my favorite aspects of young horse competitions, is seeing, the potential of, being able to see these horses on the ground and seeing them
definitely.
come up through the
Homegrown Olympic heroes is definitely,
absolutely.
and there's no reason why we can't be producing more of those. So we already produce world-class dressage horses, and as I said, we have all the facilities, we have everything in our favor. We can get, we have the top bloodline. So growing that is, I see it as just a matter of desire and investment in the industry.
Definitely. Okay, so on that note, on one of the social media posts, there was a little bit of apprehension about the growth of young horse competitions. I know this isn't a new opinion. It's been a conversation that's been around for a long time, but definitely it's come up with the addition of the 6-year-old futurity. Do you have a comment or an opinion on that?
Oh, absolutely. And first and foremost, I very much appreciate the fact that people are thinking very much in terms of horse welfare. That's incredibly important for the sustainability of the sport and the growth of the sport. And fortunately, dressage is in an incredibly strong position in regards to horse welfare, largely because the whole discipline is structured around developing horses in a sense that it makes them trainable, rideable, that they're safe, understood, that they're respectable. The horses have good manners, and that they learn to be user-friendly, and that it's a very accommodating sport for people of all skill levels. And so that whole idea around dressage in terms of building horses and developing them through a training scale, I believe is a huge strength for dressage, and would like to see that dressage is it's a foundation. It's more than just a discipline in itself, that it's a foundation for other disciplines. And so I believe we can really lean into that and use that as the strength. And the other side that makes dressage incredibly strong is the high standard of care that the horses receive. So they may have, a complicated ride that's quite demanding, but they're incredibly well compensated for that. They get a very high standard of care. And I believe that horse-loving dressage enthusiasts are the biggest strength for protecting dressage into the future and showcasing that level of care that goes into these horses to keep them healthy and keep them happy and sound. So I believe those are all huge strengths. And with regards to the young horse in particular, it's very important to remember that this event is definitely not for all horses. And that's comes down to compatibility. And I believe that is a central theme that needs to be held on to and echoed throughout the industry, is compatibility, is that not all horses are going to make it through or be suitable or compatible to a young horse class. And that comes down to the fact that transparency and honesty amongst the breeders, the owners, the trainers, the competitors, the spectator, is that I believe everybody will be quite comfortable with acknowledging that some horses are not going to be suitable for a young horse class, and they can make that decision. And other horses that are compatible will come through the young horse events. And another strength of the dressage is the fact that there is so much scope within the sport. There's so many different classes that, definitely the young horse is not the end of the road by any means, and that it's more a milestone on the way to bigger and better things. And this event is about finding horses, not forcing them into this. So I believe there's a lot of strengths at this, especially if we keep that ethos in mind, that this is just a milestone. It's a stepping block onto bigger things, and there's so much scope within the dressage industry, especially once you start getting up through to obviously the higher levels, right up to World Equestrian Games and Olympics. And so, but this was part of the idea of this event, was to give people something along the way that was, they were not having to wait until those higher events to, have a big event.
Absolutely. That was the best answer I've ever heard to that question. As I said, it's not a new debate that's happened, and you hear all these different and differentiating competing opinions, and that was just absolutely chef's kiss. I couldn't agree.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay, so on that note, what are your hopes and dreams for Australian dressage?
Small scale is that I hope that this event becomes an industry stimulating event, in the sense that we develop a culture around this event where you will have professional trainers that will have prospects, 6-year-old prospects coming through, and it can be like basically like a bit of their bread and butter, that they have those horses that they know are going to be in for maybe 8 months, maybe 12 months, depending on how dedicated the owners are towards investing in the professional training, and even for the amateur owners, that it gives them, it's an incentive along the way to keep them moving through the training scale. And bigger scale, as alluded to earlier, I would love to see Australia become a world leader in young dressage horses and producing young dressage horses, because we have so many advantages. We can produce a lot of horses and really well, and we have the expertise. And for that, growing that into more homegrown heroes at the Olympics or World Equestrian Games, that Australian dressage horses continue to be the world class that they're already producing, but just in greater numbers. And hopefully with more Australian-based riders getting to those higher levels.
I know we've really excelled in the last few years in the honestly for the last decade in the World Young Horse Championships, and it's been absolutely incredible to see those horses go there and then come home and still drive competition. So it's been incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely something to be encouraged, and if we give something like, mate, we can really showcase young horses in Australia, and it's something that we can be very strong on, and it also offers a much more reasonable return on investment for people that are investing in professional training, or amateur owners that are self-funding and coming through, that there's something there to help them along the way, or an encouragement, and to try and make more of a financial argument for persisting with the dressage schooling, beyond having to just make it as a passion argument, that you're passionate about this horse, and maybe you may be able to make some money when you sell it, but let's be honest, who wants to have to sell their horse after they've trained it up? They've been schooling it, they've become attached to it, they're in love with it, and then selling it doesn't seem like a very bright prospect in a lot of cases. So something to give a financial argument beyond just having to sell your horse at the end of the training.
Definitely. I mean, I know dressage and equestrianism is ultimately a business. However, we all just love our horses at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And this is like the idea would be that this is a celebration of that we celebrate the young horses and the breeders, the owners, the trainers, the competitors, the carers, everybody that's involved in producing these beautiful animals.
Absolutely. It takes a village.
Yes, it does.
And I mean, that's the ultimate culmination at the Sydney CDI is you see the trainers and the breeders and the riders and the coaches and the grooms and the grooms and the grooms and the
Absolutely.
the absolute pack horse of humans with jackets and boots and whips and lunge leads and everything. It's just my favorite part of the CDI.
Yeah, the entourage that comes along, and that's definitely to be celebrated.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for your time today. What a chat. I can't believe this is our first interview. This is absolutely incredible. I'm so excited for this year. So the 6-year-old futurity, the AEIE 6-year-old futurity is at the Sydney CDI 2025 at SciEx, starting the 30th of April to the 3rd of May. The finals will be for all of the young horse. Dan has also sponsored all of the young horse championships this year. So the 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds top 2 horses will be put through to the final round, which will occur on the Saturday, May the 3rd, around midday, we think. And that will have our guest rider, Jai Thurgood. Am I saying that right? Thurgate. I apologize, guys, so much. Jai Thurgate is going to be our guest rider, an expat who's come back to Australia just for this, who is training with Stefan Wolf. Incredible opportunity for him and us to see his riding and how he assesses those horses as well. So once again, thank you so much, Dan, and we'll see you at the Sydney CDI.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
No worries.